Okay. So I just finished watching a video from Juice734 about whether or not it's a good thing having players know the setting of a particular game, and I just want to do a quick video response about that, which a lot of people, may find interesting, because a lot of my videos are really, really long-winded, me just going on and on and on, and it's very similar in the way that I run, because, as many people say, Cassandra especially, I just love to hear myself talk, which for the most part is the truth, so I'll try to make this as quick and as short as possible. Truth be told, I don't really have a preference one way or the other, but I do often enjoy the benefits of both, if you will. On one side of it, I actually kind of enjoy when the players don't know the setting very well, and then I'm able to go into, I feel like I'm able to go into better detail about things that are happening in the world, things that they'll see, and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite techniques for running a game, if we're talking about players who don't know a particular setting very well, if at all, is I will let them make up characters who come from another world, especially if we're talking about fantasy RPGs. They can make up characters that come from another world, perhaps even one of their own worlds, if they themselves have a world or a GM. So they're basically coming to this new setting, to a new world, from a place that they're familiar with, and essentially wind up in a place, for whatever reason, wind up in a place where they have no idea what's going on. And this can be a lot of fun in a couple of ways. It can be a lot of fun for both the player and the character, as they're essentially experiencing this new world, this new setting together for the first time. And so in that instance, it's actually okay, and it plays out rather well with the player or the character not knowing anything about the setting. Sometimes, depending on, how stringent you want to be about rules and whatnot, there could be a language barrier. But I think that's also why in D&D we have a common tongue with bunny rabbit ears. Why there's a common language. The way I run in my games a lot of times, the common tongue is the same language just about any world you go. It just makes things a little easier. You don't necessarily have to do that in your game or anybody else, but, it's sometimes makes things a little easier, like I said. So it can be a lot of fun with somebody who doesn't know the setting. Me personally, I love seeing the look on their face when I'm describing something that they themselves as a player and their characters experiencing for the first time. Something I mentioned in one of my posts on the RPG YouTube Brigade recently was I talked about one of my worlds that has a 26-hour day and a 440-day calendar year. And so having a 26-hour day, the main city, capital city of the kingdom that I usually run or start characters off on, there's a clock tower with a 13-hour face on it, which can be kind of fun. And when people see this for the first time, especially people who are playing characters from other worlds see this for the first time, it just blows their mind. And I love the look on their face when I describe things like that, or when they're seeing things that they've never experienced before, or basically when everything's very, 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 very new to them. And at times it can be confusing, because there may be elements of the world or the setting that the players may not necessarily be familiar with, or the players may not exactly have a frame of reference. So it's usually a good idea to make sure they have some idea of what they're getting into, what kind of world that they're going to wind up on, what kind of world that they're going to. Like if they came from, or if they're used to, something that's a bit more medieval or closer to the Renaissance era type of world, then and they're going to a place where they find themselves in a setting that's a bit more pre-medieval, a bit more Dark Ages, or probably even going as far back as like the Roman Empire, whatever. That could be lots of fun. But at the same time, they need to have some kind of frame of reference, so that the player can better understand, the player can better visualize what it is their character's seeing, and give them a better ability to react to what's going on. Now, the main benefit, I would say, of having players who are very, very well versed in the setting, who know the setting backwards and forwards, would mostly be for a matter of expedience, because like I've said about, world, 13-hour clock face, whatever. When the players have characters that are familiar with the setting, it takes a little less time describing things on the part of the GM. So, like, again, the city I was talking about, some of my more experienced players, or the ones who have been through this world already a couple times, have been through a few adventures on this world. They already know what's in the main city. They already know where they can go to find things, get good advice, find the temple of their respective religions, whatever. At that point, once they're ready to go, we can just get into the adventure. I don't have to explain or describe everything they see, on the street, the smells of the city and stuff like that. Although when you're talking about people who are coming into a new place, a new city, or even an all new setting altogether, that's one thing I do really, really love, is being able to describe every little thing they see, every detail, everything that they smell, everything the people that they see on the street, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So yeah, being able to play, I think being able to play the game both ways, from both angles, either with people who are familiar with the setting or even with people who aren't familiar with the setting, either way works for me. We have a lot of fun doing it one way or the other. So there you go. Hope that helps. Hope that is a halfway decent answer to your question. As always, Gabriel Stryffe coming at you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Equitas Veritas Bellatus.